Ladies and gentlemen, before we get to President Trump pardoning Lil Wayne, which I think is fantastic, I think he's a fantastic, that's an amazing decision. And I like I said yesterday, he needs to pardon Julian Assange and Edward Snowden as well. And I explained that. But there's somebody on Twitter, and I don't have a Twitter account, but I have a Twitter impersonator that's breaking the law, impersonating me, but I do not have a Twitter account, but I can see what people are saying about me on Twitter. And somebody said, had a part of my video and said, Goodman falsely claimed that Trump allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. He did. And I have, this is funny. There's a fact check article that maybe this person was looking at. And the fact check is not about whether or not he gave more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. Trump did. The claim that people find misleading is that he said that I saved historically black colleges and universities. So, again, with the fact checking from the left, it's completely apoplectic and intent on tearing down Trump, even when he does something great. So he can't even engage in hyperbole like every other president. So when President Obama said, we're going to conduct this NATO intervention to save the people of Libya, and then that country turns into a failed state, and then there's sorrow and suffering and chaos and mayhem, and people are being bought and sold in Libya directly because of President Obama's failed NATO intervention, nobody says, oh my God, that's hyperbole. If you look at President Obama's speech, obviously there were things that were not only misleading, but categorically false. That country is worse off now. It's now separated into different opposing regions controlled by different factions and leaders. All because of President Obama's foreign policy. That used to be, it was never a failed state, or it wasn't a failed state before President Obama, and then it became a failed state after his NATO intervention. They don't slice and dice President Obama's statements on Libya, or Flint, by the way, when President Obama drank Flint water and said, I'm thirsty. And then he said, well, it was filtered water. Still it was unhealthy to drink. And still President Obama drank the water. But see, really quickly, hit subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to give you some context and nuance to a lot of what media and Democrats and a lot of what the left, or just, I shouldn't say the left and right. I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I voted for President Trump because I want to reverse U.S. foreign policy, which he did. Which is why the Lincoln Project is firmly embedded within the Democratic Party. But here, verify. This is CBS. But in 2018, Trump appropriated more than $360 million, $32 million more than Obama. So we can verify Trump has spent more money. Trump has spent more than any other president on HBCUs. So, individual on Twitter, or anyone who says that President Trump is this horrible racist supremacist, that is not true. You judge people by their actions. I judge people by their actions. Yes, I do agree that President Trump should not have insulted LeBron James and NFL players. I think that was wrong. In hindsight, it was the worst political move, and also just it wasn't good for creating any national dialogue, even if you do oppose the anthem protest. President Trump shouldn't have done that. But the things that he did that were good should be at least acknowledged and celebrated, in my view. This is a CBS article, but in 2018, Trump appropriated more than $360 million, $32 million more than Obama. So we can verify Trump has spent more than any other president on HBCUs. So that person who says H.A. Goodman wrongly claimed that statement, you're the one who's wrong, not me. Anyway, I'll put that link below, and I'll put the other link. So this is a PolitiFact article trying to tear down Trump, but it actually elevates Trump. President Trump's signing of the Future Act in 2019. So that was in 2018. He had already given more money. But in 2019, he made the funding permanent. And the only rebuttal against Trump was, it's not clear how involved Trump was before the legislation hit his desk for the signature. So hit subscribe to this channel. Get this segment viral. And then two experts calculated the total federal funding provided by to HBCUs. Those numbers show little change, except they're higher under Trump. So that's the point. Even if they want to slice and dice, the thing that President Trump did, in addition to, like the CBS article states, and like this article infers, which they can't even acknowledge reality, when Trump signed Bipartisan Future Act in 2019, because he had already allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities in 2018, I'll give you the CBS News article, he did make permanent $255 million in annual funding. That is permanent, okay? So HBCUs don't have to go to Congress every year anymore. So that's to lobby for funding. That's a good thing. President Obama didn't do that. Bill Clinton, I didn't do that either. Bill Clinton didn't do that. Bush didn't do that. So when Trump signed the Bipartisan Future Act in 2019, he did make permanent $255 million in annual funding, okay? Including roughly $85 million earmarked as mandatory funding for historically black colleges and universities under the Title III program. So then he goes, but it's inaccurate for Trump to say that he saved HBCUs. Okay, so he didn't save, so I agree he didn't save HBCUs, but it is a fact he allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities. I have the links below. There are other links as well that you can look up. That's something that he did. He signed the First Step Act prison reform legislation, and then the rebuttal is, well, he wasn't that involved in drafting the legislation. So there's always some kind of petulant rebuttal to any good thing that he does. But here, so hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. We're on our way to 200,000 subscribers. I'm going to give you the facts. These are the facts. I support President Trump, but I came from on the left. President Trump should not have, looking back, the rhetoric was his undoing. And it made people incapable or unable to see the achievements that he accomplished. First president to step foot in North Korea. Signed prison reform legislation. Renegotiated the NAFTA into the USMCA. First president, only president to sign an executive order combating anti-Semitism on college campuses, using the definition from the IHRA, while it was AOC who had to be basically condemned by Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem in Jerusalem refuted AOC's revisionist history pertaining to a topic she should never talk about again, because she just shamelessly used it for her political gain, like Democrats do. Democrats use the suffering and the sorrow of others for their political gain, and they say, oh, we're the good people. No. When you have Yad Vashem refuting your revisionist history, there's a problem there. And I also went ahead and wrote about that in the Jerusalem Post in an op-ed. That's in my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, on HAGoodman.com. I mean, you have a far left voice that was banned off of Twitch. And that was for pure, that wasn't just, you wanted to suppress people. That person called for lives to be lost in another country. I'm not going to get into that because of the algorithm, but I totally could. So the many people on the left, especially on Twitter's like this boiling pot of discontent, this cauldron of negativity and disinformation. So I was 100% right when I said that. The links are below. But here, President Trump expected to pardon Lil Wayne. Fox News, Trump may issue 50 to 100 commutations, pardons before term ends. Rapper Lil Wayne expected to be on list. Let's just read the TMZ article. President Trump pardons are coming. Lil Wayne expected to make the list. It looks like Lil Wayne could be let off the hook in his federal case by none other than President Trump, who's reportedly expected to pardon the rapper before his term ends. Trump is believed to have a pretty lengthy list of names for his final rounds of commutations and pardons. I'm praying and hoping that not only Lil Wayne, but who's an amazing, like one of the great rappers of all time, greatest musical artists of all time, I think. And I say this like not just because of politics, because I know he has an independent viewpoint on a lot of things. I say this because he's awesome. He's awesome. And he was great before the internet just made people famous and popular. But here, he'll announce them in a big reveal Tuesday or at least Wednesday morning before. Okay, so when he does, it sounds like people anticipate Lil Wayne to be a notable beneficiary of presidential pardon. So, which he can't help but think is perhaps a thank you for endorsing Trump in the days leading to the 2020 election. So Lil Wayne endorsed President Trump, which is fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, and then you hear that then you hear when Lil Wayne gets this pardon tomorrow, he's going to be unbearable. I mean, all this negativity on Twitter from all the haters. Twitter is just a cyber reality. It's like Tron. Remember the movie Tron? It's like Tron for disgruntled, angry, apoplectic, seething, fuming, hysterical, manic, morally superior liberals. And let's look. Trump may pardon Lil Wayne. Release men jailed by Biden drug laws. So there you go. Of course, the left won't see that, or Democrats won't see that, or media won't see that. Rapper Lil Wayne and people jailed under President-elect Joe Biden's draconian drug laws may be among the recipients of President Trump's final clemency decisions this week. It's a shame, ladies and gentlemen, and it's partly President Trump's own doing, that his monumental achievements, being the first president to step foot in North Korea, so many Abraham Accords, peace between Israel, UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, Serbia, economic deals between Serbia and Kosovo. I mean, these are things you can't refute. So when that person tried to say, oh yeah, I falsely claimed, no, you falsely claimed that I falsely claimed, because I have the facts on my side. And it's unfortunate that President Trump, because of, like, he pushed the envelope in terms of rhetoric. He pushed the envelope in terms of, he pushed the envelope in terms of going after his adversaries, his political adversaries, which is exactly what they wanted, because he knew the sharks were after him. They set him up and framed him with Trump Russia. Russia didn't interfere in anything. Facebook ads didn't swing votes, but these are the tinfoil hat fantasies that Democrats believed. And then, God forbid, oh my God, you fast forward, how dare you even question? And so, the tinfoil hat fantasies that Facebook ads swung the election, nobody, not Julian Assange, he should be pardoned and freed, not Edward Snowden, not George Papadopoulos or Carter Page or General Michael Flynn or Manafort or anyone. Nobody, Roger Stone, nobody was indicted or charged or convicted on, or even accused formally in a court of law, of conspiring or working alongside Russian intelligence officials or Putin or anyone associated with the Russian government. Nobody was they were all charged on process crimes. It was basically Mueller going around President Trump's car and saying, gosh, your tail light, there's no tail light. And Trump saying, what? And then Mueller going, crack. Oh, that's right. See? It's the tail light. And so the whole thing was a complete scam and racket. And what President Trump did was he went after them hard, and he made it this dramatic, cataclysmic, apocalyptic show or drama of two opposing forces, which I understand because they never gave him a day of peace. But what he was doing was throwing chum in the water. He threw all of that chum and got that water all red, and the sharks, they were already after him. They became even more frenzied. And then when it was time to perhaps create a national dialogue all people could think about were the sharks in the water after Trump. And so there needed to be a national dialogue and discourse on everything that Trump wanted. If he wanted a national dialogue and discourse about the anthem protest, then he should have, in a different manner, addressed it. If he wanted a national dialogue and discourse about Russia, which he should have had, there were ways. He should have been on MSNBC and CNN, even though he tried and it didn't work out on NBC News. He should have been, like, in 2015, 2016, he was able to deal with petulant, or he was able to deal with journalists that were after him. And the NBC News interview, the journalist wasn't really after him, but Brian Williams wasn't really after him, but they utilized one phrase from it, and then he could have just said, hey, look, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean I let Comey go because I was afraid he had something on me. I meant I let Comey go because he committed perjury, and he did all of those things, which is true. Comey said Attorney General Loretta Lynch told him to call the Clinton email probe a matter. Attorney General Loretta Lynch says Comey's lying. She never said that. So who's committing perjury? Let's say Comey is. But ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel. Get this segment viral. Lil Wayne should be pardoned. If you look at the specifics of his case, he should be pardoned. I haven't spent too much time on the specifics of his case, but he should be pardoned. And if Trump pardons Lil Wayne, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, he goes off into history. His legacy is cemented. All the haters can say what they like, but the proof is in the actions. What are your actions? Were there missteps with President Trump the past 4 years? Yes, you can look back. I can look back now and say, okay, with a sober analysis, there were missteps. But were there far more achievements? Yeah, there were. There were far more achievements. Give me your thoughts below. Grandiose achievements. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. Right this segment. Please get this segment viral.